Radio Rahim with Frank Warren, and I gotta tell you, we always have a good time, but whenever you bring me out to lunch, it's an especially good time. We gotta start getting the car catered.
It's good, but it's good. Cheers.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that'll do. All good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a lovely restaurant, Marlowe's, here in London. Being looked after by the best maitre d'.
Now, I only have one question. Why isn't Frank Smith pouring the wine?
Well, Frank's, I think he's coming over to see us next week.
All right. We got to make sure they keep that into the bargain. Again, you're letting them off light. I was trying to make the deal a lot heavier. And yesterday, actually, I was sat with Eddie at his house, and it was interesting to talk to him in this space that you guys are such good pals, because the issue with Anthony Yarde in all of this promotional contract business, I asked Eddie, knowing that this dispute is happening and Ward's saying he's a free agent, are you reaching out to him? Are you, speaking to him? And he said, you know what? In the past, I would do. But now, because Frank and I have this relationship, I'm going to just let that be, and I'm not going to speak to him at all. How do you react to that?
Well, the fact of the matter is we have a position, and legally, as far as we're concerned, we have a position with Anthony what we expect to be honoured. And that's it, irrespective of whether anybody wants to talk to him. Go and talk to him, but we have a position where he has obligations to us.
In the past, I've been in boxing long enough to remember Andre Ward's situation. There are, a number of fighters who get in disputes with their promoter, and then it's difficult to make fights, and they end up sitting out. Is that potentially going to be the result of Anthony Ward's situation if you guys can't come to terms?
No idea. That's, it is what it is. It's got to this position because of, it's really got there because his manager did a interview that he put out, and then they took it down, and I got a lot of inquiries about it, and I responded to it. But look, you know what? It is what it is, and I'm past that now. Obviously, Anthony has taken advice. He is where he's at. I've never had a cross word with him. I'm very disappointed where we're at. Maybe he is as well, but let the lawyers deal with it now. I'm past that. The lawyers would, who's ever right or wrong, it will be determined by an arbitrator or in the courts, and let them sort it out. Me, in the meantime, I'm moving on. I can't be bogged down and dragged down by this. Very, very disappointed with it, but I'm not going to sit here and keep bleating and moaning about it. It is what it is. We're all over 21. There are consequences for all of us for what we do and what we say and our actions. And get on with it. And at the end of the day, who's ever right, who's ever wrong will come out in the wash, and how it affects everybody will be determined, and how it affects careers and my position. It'll come out, as I say, it will all come out in time. Time tells with everything. And time tells, and I've been in this position many, many times, as a lot of promoters have, and heard what's been said in retrospect years later, when people have been advised or made decisions that have affected their careers. I really have the utmost respect for Anthony. Never had a cross word with him, and it's just sad we're in this position. But you know what? We are in this position. I can't change the position we're in. It is what it is. So everybody's got to be grown up and get on with it and let the lawyers work it out. That's what it is now. No more of this nonsense, because it's irrelevant. It's all irrelevant. We sign pieces of paper, and that'll be determined who's right and who's wrong. For me, it's not about what we sign. It's about what happened and what was said when I thought I had a relationship, and that relationship turned out to be a crock of shit with a person who I discussed Anthony's fights with. So for me, that's a dead duck now, and and move on.
I mean, I have to ask, what is it that stirred the pot to this degree? I mean, I rarely see you this angry since I used to be able to bring up Eddie Hearn. This is a first.
I'm not angry.
What was said
I'm not angry. I'm disappointed because it's not even worth going into because it's irrelevant. You know, what is happening? What are we doing? Where are we now? We're working with the Riyadh season with His Excellency. You know, on the 12th of October, the two best light heavyweights in the world are facing each other. The 4 belts on the line. Nothing is going to happen in that division until the new year, to 2025 anyway. Whoever wins that fight, nothing's going to happen. In the meantime, there are going to be a few fights that are going to take place that are going to determine who is going to be jockeying into positions to either become interim champions or fight for vacant belts or challenge the winner of that fight. That's what's going to happen. And they pulled out the Boazzi fight. Why? I mean, it's nuts. And I'll tell you why it's nuts. You can say, I'm worth, I want, which was said, wanted $5 million to fight whoever it was. I can't remember what it was when Tundi said on this post he put out or whatever it was, this thing with Spencer Fearon's show, which they took down. That's what he said. This is what he's worth. He's this and that.
And you weren't paying him enough, and they wanted to fight.
The point I want to make is, so it's now gone out to purse bids, goes out. That will determine the true worth of the fight. They may be right. I may be wrong. But pulling him out of the fight ain't going to show you who's right or wrong. Why would you pull him out of the fight? If that's what you're worth, then go with that's what you feel. Any promoter who wants to bid for that fight can bid for it. Is it worth it? I don't think it's worth that money. But you know what? I've been wrong before. Maybe I'm wrong. But we ain't going to find out now because he's pulled out.
You talk about Riyadh season. The light heavyweight undisputed fight, obviously, is something we're all anticipating. But we know that fight is made. Assuming both fighters are healthy, we'll get it. But the fight that everyone is talking about, that no one will confirm, but I'm having a hard time rationalizing how it doesn't come down to Joshua Dubois. But when I talked to Eddie, he said only if it's a title fight. And he posed alternative opponents in the same breath, Zhang being one of them, Parker being one of them, like if Josh would be willing to fight other than Dubois.
They're all with us.
Right. But my question being that if Dubois has won the Eliminator, even if he doesn't have the IBF title on the line, is he not the one who deserves the shot? Like, are you...
Well, I think box office is that fight. Those two guys are two Brits. If we can do it in September, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? I mean, they're two massive big punchers. Everybody knows who they are. That is a no-brainer. But I can't determine what AJ wants to do. That's up to him.
It does put you in a prickly position, though, because all those guys, like you said, are with you. No one's going to want the other guy to get the fight if they can get it.
At the end of the day, this is professional boxing, and if you did we'll let the fans decide. You go and put all those names on. Go and do a poll. Put all those names on SecondsOut and ask them who they feel he should fight. And go and do that.
All right, you heard it. We're going to do that, Frank.
Well, if you want to do it, do it. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. It'd be the most exciting fight between two massive big punchers. Like the kid who's come through, after a lot of criticism from fellow professionals and whatever, and gone out there and done the business. Certainly his last two fights, and in the fight against Kevin Lorena, he's gone out and done what he's had to do. He deserves the shot. He's the interim champion. It's a no-brainer for me, but we'll see what happens.
I think you're going to win that poll, to be fair. And if you do, and then end up making the fight, which I think most would hope you do, what can be expected for Zhang and even Parker? Like, they've had some huge wins of late, and all the titles are tied up. What do you do with them?
Fight each other. there's some great fights. The heavyweight division is lively. There's good fights being made. There's no rush to go into anything at this moment in time. They're only, Zhang only just fought, was it the weekend? He let the guy go and chill and enjoy him. But, one thing's for sure, every fight that these guys are in with have not been easy fights on paper. They're fighting, they're real meaningful fights. And whoever they do fight, whether it be each other or other people, they will be meaningful fights.
We could certainly imagine seeing that on the undercard of Dubois or Joshua Dubois, Zhang Parker too.
Or in Riyadh.
That either one of them expressed that. I mean, I interviewed both, and they're
I'm going
like,
to tell you something. Nobody's expressed anything. There's been some sort of, little bits of, putting some feelers out and talking about things, but nothing's decided yet. But there's a press conference on the 26th here in London, and all will be revealed. Hopefully, we'll have something sorted out by then. Otherwise, there'll be no point having a press conference.
Now, we know Tyson Fury has said he wants the rematch for Undisputed. It seems that he's been...
It's agreed. So
but
the 21st of December in Riyadh.
But it won't be for Undisputed. That's the issue.
Do you know what? I hope it will, but it's not. All the belts are on the line. Sorry.
Almost.
Let's do that again.
Yeah.
I hope that'll be the case, but what does it matter? It was such a great fight. It was the best heavyweight fight. All the belts on the line. Exciting fight of the 21st century. That's what it was. So now... we want to see it rerun again. People want to see it again. Very close fight. Everybody's got an opinion on it, which is great because that adds to the spice of it. And even if there weren't any belts, would you watch it?
No, absolutely. I just wonder if that sales pitch works on Tyson.
Well, the rematch is on. It's on. It's done. It's been announced.
I mean, to be fair, we've had announcements before. There's no wavering from Tyson on, like, if it can't be on the same terms,
Tyson's
Undisputed.
For the rematch in the ring. He doesn't... Look, he's won all the belts.
At
He
some
gave, you know what I
point,
mean?
yes.
Yeah,
Not
so
at the
he's
same
won all
time,
the
I get you,
belts.
I
So he's
understand.
won all the belts.
Yeah.
For him, it's not about the belts. It's about revenge.
Have you spoken to Chris Eubank Jr. about Hamzah and that fight possibly
I've
being
never had any
made?
conversation with his team. It's done. There have been conversations. We will see. I'd love him to fight Hamzah. It's a no-brainer, that one. What a great fight that'd be for the Brits. I don't think he fancies it, though. I think Hamzah's be too lively for him, and he's been the next generation for God knows how many years. He's in his mid-30s now, so.
Eddie has said, and I think you've said also, at some point, this rematch of Queensberry and Matchroom is actually already in the talks. Like you guys, they said at the
plane.
yeah.
Excuse me. No dates have been set. We want to do it. We both want to do it. We want to give them a rematch because we want to kick their arse again. We want to do it, and it'll be and it will happen. There's no doubt about it. That there will be a rematch, and it's something we all want to see.
So a rematch, obviously, between the promotion companies, but a whole different list of fighters. Are you already sizing people up for these slots?
Well, no, we're not, because the format is they pick 2 weeks, we pick 2 weeks, and His Excellency picks a weight.
Yeah.
So until the weights are picked and determined, we don't know who's going to be in there yet.
But you know the weights you're going to pick. You could, there's got to be...
I'm not going to show my hand yet, am I?
Okay, fair enough. One thing I want to reflect on from the first fight, which, again, I'm not sure why you're so keen to do this rematch. I would make Eddie, twist and turn and beg for this rematch.
I could retire and say, sod off, we're retiring our laurels. But no, we're gentlemen, and we want to give them a chance to get another ass kicking.
And fair play. I'll tell you, Matchroom lost in a huge stinker. But the fights...
Good fights, though. They weren't, I mean, let's get it right. They weren't they weren't kick-ass stuff. I mean, a good stop. Even the stoppages, up until the stoppages, well, certainly up until 2 of the stoppages, they weren't they weren't arse-kicking jobs. They were quite competitive fights. I thought, though, the last one between Zhang and Parker, unfortunately, poor old, not Zhang and Parker, sorry.
Zhang and Wilder.
Zhang and Wilder. I thought Deontay, obviously, he wasn't the fighter he was, which was sad.
So, yeah, I mean, that's roundly agreed that, the Wilder we've seen in his prime certainly is not the guy stepping through the ropes now. If he were to decide that he wanted to continue, Eddie's kind of balked. He's like, maybe it was a one-off, I'm done. If he came to you and said, Frank, I'm still in, I want to fight, would you promote Deontay Wilder?
I would hope Deontay doesn't want to fight. Look, it's not his last fight, it's the fight before as well. He's had 2, and he's also had, I think, he's won 1 in the last 5, am I right? I'm not sure, 4 or 5. And those fights he had against Tyson were sort of, they were brutal fights. Certainly number 1 and the 3 of them for him were brutal fights. And that takes a lot out of you. And he was a champion for 6 years, and he was exciting. He was a big puncher, the hardest puncher out there at the time. And he's got nothing to prove to anybody. I really do like him. I think he's a really good guy, nice guy, and I don't want to see him going because you got to go down a level now, and I don't want to see him go down a level. It is what it is. It happens to everybody. It happens to all of us. Don't matter whether you're a boxer or whatever. It's going to happen to me soon. Or hopefully not soon, but it's going to happen to me where suddenly, you're not at the top of your game anymore, and that's life. That's life. That goes with the territory, certainly in boxing. And he's got nothing to prove. He hasn't got to show anybody anything, and he's got a family, and they're a caring family. I heard what his mum and dad said, and and I wholeheartedly agree with him. Don't put yourself through this anymore. You've got, you've made money, you're comfortable, you're a great guy, and go find another challenge in life.
Well said, Frank. I think that's true for all of us at some stage. So the last bit, Jabber was across TNT Sports broadcast, and we did all the stats for all the fights, but we did one particular aggregate stat that accumulated each team as if it was one fighter. All the fighters put together as if it was one fighter, and then you represent your whole team. Eddie represents his whole team. And so these are the statistics team-wise. Now, you still drubbed them. Like, you still won the fight, but like you said, these fights were very close as a whole, and your guys with the knockouts made the difference. And the bigger punching, actually, still high-impact shots, but the landed shots are even, thrown shots are even. You guys just edge it on the metric of pressure and high impact, just a bit. That means that as even as these fights were, the Matchroom guys just didn't have quite as much grit as the Queensberry.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, you can look at the statistics, and they're very interesting, and they make it very interesting for the people watching. But you look at high impacts, and you look at you look at the ratings on there, and I'll get them, and it's quite interesting. But at the end of the day, the 2 big high impact punches. Stop, guys.
Those were the ones.
You only need one of them out.
All right.
You know what I mean? And look, I'm not going to debate them. All that shows they were very close fights, but our guys came through, and they were the better fighters on the night. There's no doubt about that.
Well, you're a strong man to be willing to go at it again after a sweep like that. You're certainly a gamesman. Radio Rahim with Frank Warren. Thank you.
Rahim, the best.
Thank you, Frank. See you next time.